can't feel my face now. What's good, y'all? It's your boy Q. It's been a while since we had one of these videos on the channel, but it's well overdue. And since that's the case, we're going to go ahead and get into one that I thought was pretty interesting. I haven't seen it all yet, but basically this is about a snip that Tucker Carlson from Fox News did on the government and the Biden administration in general, just how they have affected and been a part of the American people basically being shorted on food and inflation affecting things, and kind of how it doesn't really seem like what it seems like. I'm not going to get into that, but let's go ahead and get into this real quick and see what they got to say real fast.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Last spring in March at a press conference in Brussels, Joe Biden explained that the sanctions he was imposing against Russia, while morally necessary, were also going to cause food shortages around the world, including here in the United States.
Hold up. What's he? Let's go in real quick. What is a sanction? Okay, a sanction. Sanctions are measures taken by countries to restrict trade and official contact with a country that has broken international law. What laws have Russia broke? I don't know. We might have to look that up too. Let's look up the sanctions that Russia's foreign ministry has imposed sanctions on Joe Biden and 12 other officials, Secretary of State, Defense Secretary, Press Secretary, and other members. Also, former Secretary of State and Biden's son. Measures will not impede necessary high-level contacts. Other names on the list. Western countries have already sanctioned top Russia officials, including Putin, foreign minister, and press secretary. Okay. So they've already put into place of they cannot contact on a regular.
It's going to be real, he said. Now, Biden said this in a very odd way. There was no hint or panic, emotions you'd expect from a leader predicting the deaths of human beings from starvation. None of that. Instead, there was pure nonchalant casualness. Biden could have been describing the weather or a trip to the dry cleaners. It's going to be real. Then, Biden continued, recounting a conversation he'd had with European allies. He told us all about it. When he met with the group, Biden said, they spoke about, quote, how we could increase and disseminate more rapidly food shortages. That's what Joe Biden said, verbatim. It's on tape. So here you have the President of the United States pledging to increase food shortages.
So where's the tape? I don't want to come off like I lean right or left, right? But I'm going to say this. Like, if you're quoting somebody and you know there's proof of it, bring the proof. Bring the proof, because you're going to have sheep and then you're going to have half sheep. I noticed that. We have a lot of half sheep around here. More so than actual sheep in the truth, in the grand scheme of it all. So the half sheep are like, okay, let me listen to this with a grain of rice. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically what this is you're telling me that you got proof of him saying this. It's in the tape. Just show me the tape. Spare me to going out to look at it. You know what I mean?
Shortages at a press conference. Now, that seemed like a newsworthy event, but not a single news organization in this country seemed to notice it happened, nor did the White House correct it. But others were watching, so within days, that clip wound up on social media, and Facebook flagged it immediately as, quote, false news. Now, strictly speaking, that's untrue. There's nothing false about the video. It was entirely real. No one can test that. But apparently, Facebook users were supposed to understand that Joe Biden is senile, and therefore he's not accountable for his own words. Taking Joe Biden literally qualifies as, quote, misinformation. Now, we'll leave that whole episode for you to assess. We can't know what Joe Biden was thinking, if anything, when he uttered those words in Brussels. We can only tell you what happened afterward. strange disasters began to beset food processors all over the United States. In April, the next month, the headquarters of one of this country's largest organic food distributors was destroyed in a fire, cause unknown. The next month, in a single week actually, 2 separate private plane crashes took out 2 separate food processing centers. One plane hit a General Mills plant in Georgia, the other plane hit a food plant in Idaho. By the way, back in February, a boiler explosion obliterated a potato processing plant in Oregon, and so on.
I like how you transitioned that. By the way, a potato processing plant. Was there anybody in those planes? Do they have bodies? You know what I'm getting at here? I don't know.
So even people who aren't given to connecting the dots, who don't think of themselves as conspiracy nuts, began to wonder, is there something here? But no one could tell. The Biden administration had no answers and no way to get to the answers because they had no data. And that's interesting because the Biden administration tracks a lot of things, the things that it cares about, the race and ethnicity and sex life, for example, of every person in America. Do we have enough trans-Pacific Islanders playing woodwinds in major symphonies?
Facts.
How about gay Southeast Asians in long-haul trucking?
Facts.
These are the questions that concern the bean counters in the Biden administration. And yet at the same time, that same administration keeps no real records about the infrastructure of our food supply.
Interesting.
Apparently that has never occurred to them.
Is that true?
So honestly, we can't really know one way or the other because we don't have a baseline whether something strange is going on with food suppliers. But some days you do wonder. On Saturday, an enormous commercial egg farm in central Connecticut burned to the ground for no obvious reason. Huge fire. At least 20 fire departments responded, fought the blaze for over 8 hours. More than 100,000 chickens died. Now that's a sad story, but what's interesting is that most media companies did not consider it a story at all. Weird, considering egg prices have become an actual problem for most Americans. Egg prices are up more than 100% in many places. And yet at that exact moment, when eggs are a concern, 100,000 chickens die in a freak fire, and the New York Times, which is right next door in a neighboring state, does not even cover the fire? What is that? Don't worry. Things like this have nothing to do with egg prices, say the media. It's just avian flu. Watch.
Egg consumption has grown over the years as many people are eating them as their main protein source. But the production has slumped because of the ongoing bird or avian flu epidemic. Over the last year, the USDA says nearly 58 million birds have been infected in the U.S., making it the deadliest outbreak in U.S. history. Unfortunately, the infected birds have to be killed, causing the egg supplies to fall and prices to surge.
The infected birds have to be killed. Not the infected birds were already killed. So how do you know there's 58 million birds that need to be killed? Because if they had the flu that you're talking about, this avian flu, wouldn't you have took them out as soon as they tested positive? Hold up, bro. Hold up. Something's fishy here. This sounds fishy as hell. Refers to a disease caused by infection and blah, blah, blah. These viruses naturally spread among wild aquatic birds. Aquatic birds. But they got chickens here, okay. Worldwide and can affect domestic poultry, okay, domestic poultry and other bird and animal species. Bird flu viruses do not normally infect humans. However, sporadic human infections with bird flu have occurred. I got a question real quick. We about to Google this question. Can birds get over avian flu? Okay, so it says chickens and turkeys will die quickly. Ducks and geese will recover, but they'll still carry it. Alright, I'm still trying to figure out how you know there's 58 million birds, but you didn't slaughter those 58 million birds if you say they need to be slaughtered.
In some cases, stores are running out and limiting the amount people can buy.
We bought eggs earlier this week here at Fry's in Levine. We paid $8.99 for a dozen eggs.
So if
$8.99? God damn! What? For some eggs, bro? For chicken, period?
If you ask the Agriculture Department, for example, or anyone in the Biden administration, to the extent they're paying attention, which is
hell no,
they'll tell you that egg prices are high because avian flu, and that's a completely natural virus, just like COVID. The price have nothing to do with chicken farms burning down. Again, not that anyone in the government tracks that kind of thing. Why would they? Because nothing like that could ever happen. Settle down, QAnon! And a lot of people, particularly the national news media, people who could not identify a chicken if it didn't come with dipping sauce, are satisfied with that explanation. But we noticed that some farmers who deal with chickens every day are not convinced. Some chicken farmers have noticed something odd. Their chickens aren't laying eggs or as many eggs. And
these are the people that we need to be listening to. The people that deal with chickens every single day. That deal with part of your food supply every single day. These are the people that really we need to listen to. It's like, bro, if you've been at your job for an excess amount of time, I have no business believing anybody's word about what it is that goes on in your field of expertise over yours. I don't have any business doing that. Let's check them out.
Chickens don't appear sick with avian flu. They're not dying. They're still alive. They're just not producing eggs.
And we just read that chickens and turkeys will die quickly from avian flu. But they're not dying. They not laying eggs. And so the plot thickens.
Now, healthy hens lay eggs on a regular basis every 24 to 26 hours. But suddenly, chicken owners all over the country, not all of them, but a lot of them, are reporting they're not getting any eggs or as many. So what's causing that? Clearly, something's causing that. Some have concluded their chicken feed may be responsible. Watch.
Is the commercial feed the reason so many people's chickens have not been laying at all? This is a question that I am asking myself, and I have seen all over TikTok, Facebook, everywhere. I'm talking about chickens, tons of people who are having no eggs for 6-7 months. Like, this is not normal. I have at least 60 hens that should be laying. I have a flock of roughly 100, and I was getting 2 to 3 eggs in the summer, all summer long. I genuinely think it's the feed, especially after seeing so many people have the same problem, switching to a local feed and it fixing itself.
There you go. Fixing itself after you switch to food. What's going in the food? Why? Okay. Crazy thought. Crazy thought. What if, right, you're trying to manipulate genes of chickens in a way that would take too long with the current population of chickens. So what do to get your gene out there faster? You put it in the new generation of chicken. Cut off the old generation swiftly, right? Massive waves of lost chickens. Get your virus or gene or whatever it is inside the new wave of chickens. Okay? Hear me out. And then as those chickens reproduce, the original chicken genome you know what I'm saying? Hear me out, because this chick, she just told you she has over 100 chicken coops, I think she said, and like 60 to 80 hens or something on hand. She said they lay 2 to 3 eggs a day, which I know is a fact because I've been on chicken farms myself many, many times. Chickens lay eggs every day. But here's the crazy part. We're not even talking about getting the egg to the customer's house. We're talking about the egg that helps the chickens reproduce anyway. So with lack of chickens thereof means lack of more chickens, right? We're not just talking about feeding human beings. We're talking about keeping the chicken species moving along. There's going to be less eggs for roosters to fertilize if they're killing them all off and they're not laying any eggs, the ones that are still around. You see what they're saying? Okay, we found a fix. It's you get you some local food. Don't get the commercial stuff. Get you some local food, something that you know right where you know what's going into it, and it's fixing it. But how long are you waiting and feeding your chicken this commercial stuff till you find that information? Right? Has the damage already been done to the chicken population? I don't know. Let's finish. See what she's talking about.
So why'd we just put that clip on TV? Because that chicken owner speaks for all chicken owners? Because she's the world's greatest expert on avian questions? Probably not. but because the people who should be keeping track of what's going on are clearly not keeping track of what's going on because they just don't care. And so instead of...
Or is it that they're causing what's going on, so there's no need to bring it to your attention?
Going to the usual sources at the Ag Department or calling the White House press office, we decided to listen to people who actually have chickens. And that one, for example, the lady you just saw says she switched her chicken feed and it solved her problem. Her chickens began laying eggs once again immediately. Now, the specific brand of feed referenced in that video is called Producer's Pride. It's made by Purina. Most chicken feed brands are made by Purina. Purina also makes Producer's Pride, that's the cattle feed, recently subject to a recall after regulators linked that product to a series of unexplained cattle deaths. It was removed from shelves because there was a good chance you shouldn't be feeding it to livestock. Could that be happening again? Now, we don't know, but we should tell you, because again, no one else seems to be keeping track of this, that it's not just Producer's Pride that some chicken owners are worried about. Some have concerns about several other chicken feed brands made by Purina. So we reached out to the company today, because again, we're agnostic on this, but we figured
no comment.
Do a little poking. And they said they've looked into it too, and their feed is not the problem. And that may absolutely be true. We don't know. What we did notice, though, was that that explanation was more than enough for most media companies, trained as they are to accept corporate press releases as the final word on any given topic.
What test did you do?
They said it's not a problem, so it's not a problem. We don't think that's the last word. Again, we can't tell you for certain either way. But we do know, and here's really the point, that America's food supply is one of those topics it's worth being a little paranoid about. This is not a matter of how many Trans-Pacific Islander oboists we've got. This is a matter of national survival, of food, the question on which empires rise and fall. And in this specific case, eggs, poultry, and chicken, avian products, are major sources of protein in the diets of most Americans.
That's true. Now, I want to add on, Purina. I don't want to get on Purina. I don't use them. I don't use them. I don't know if I've ever used that brand for any animal. But I would like to know what tests you've done. I would like to see the test results. I would like to know what lengths you've gone to prove that it's not your feed that's doing it, because these people are saying once they switch over, it's fixing it. Like, why would they put themselves out there to be like, oh yeah, my chickens ain't been laying eggs and I switched the feed and they started laying eggs? Why would they do that if that wasn't really the case, if that's all they're doing? You know what I'm saying? This reminds me of like humans and chemtrails, right? People start developing weird illness, weird dis-ease, right? Anxiety starts popping out through the roof. I don't know. I don't know what to think about all this, but I would say this. If the beginning is true, they didn't give us the proof. I probably had to go back and research the proof, but if, Biden administration, government, or whatever, who's talking about all that, trying to increase food shortages and making it faster that we don't have food, this type of stuff is what really needs to get looked into. But there's so many things going on to distract us so that we don't look where we're supposed to be looking. It's all magic, right? It's all sleight of hand. It's all illusion put in front of you so that you don't know where to put your focus. But let me tell you something, y'all. The one place I can guarantee you deserves your focus, it's right there. Focus on that the most. We're going to leave it right there for y'all. Comment below. What were your thoughts on all of this? Did you think that, do you have the same, conspiracy understanding? Do you think, nah, it just is what it is, a bunch of coincidences, all these places go up in fire, chickens aren't laying eggs, all of a sudden 58 million need to be slaughtered? Like, what do you think? What do you think? Let me know below, y'all. But we're going to leave it there. I hope y'all have a blessed day, y'all. Till the next time, I love you. Peace. New era. I'm feeling quite bad, so take another token.